Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's basement of horror. Counting this one, we have 3 more episodes to go, and then it's the end of the 5th season. So we've got this episode, then an episode on the Silent Screamers, the Mezco Aztec Toys Silent Screamers. And then we have the exciting season finale. What's the exciting season finale going to be about? I don't know. We'll see in a couple episodes. But the last episode of the season is usually something a little different, kind of personal. Last year I talked about my Egyptian heritage and showed you some Egyptian souvenirs, including mummy souvenirs. And I think it was the year before that I looked at some childhood drawings, like monster drawings, childhood art that I made. The exciting season finale is usually something a little more personal, and it's not just like showing monster action figures. It's something a little different. And this will be a little different. If I do what I have planned, it'll be a little bit different. You'll see. But here we are on this episode right now. This is not the season finale. This is an episode about Monster Flex. Diramix Monster Flex. Because these are rubbery toys that you can flex. This is Frankenstein, but as you can see, he sure looks like the Hulk, doesn't he? He looks like the Incredible Hulk, and I don't think that's an accident. I think you're supposed to look at him and see the Incredible Hulk. And if you're a little kid and you think, hey, maybe that is the Incredible Hulk, and you say, Mommy, Daddy, I want the Hulk, well, I don't think a Diramix minds. And look at that illustration, very Hulk-like. I wanted to cover this toy line because I know some people will be bailing out right now because this isn't their cup of tea. I didn't want to look at something like NECA or Super 7 or Mego. I wanted to look at a contemporary toy line that you could buy right now, but one that was aimed at children. A lot of you notice I haven't done a whole lot of new toys this season. And that's not by accident. I don't think this show is at its best when I'm showing new toys, even though those episodes get the highest view counts. I was going to say ratings. This is it's not like a NBC TV series. Those episodes get the most views, and that's nice. It attracts eyes to the channel, but I don't think that's the best, most valuable service that I can render for the viewers, is to be the umpteenth person on YouTube showing you a NECA figure, especially since I don't take things out of the package. And when you have a toy, if it's on a card, okay. But if it's in a box, it's really hard to see the toy inside the box. You have to have just perfect lighting and everything positioned perfectly, and even then it just doesn't look very good. So that's why I haven't gone out of my way to show you like the NECA Dracula or Invisible Man that's out right now. I haven't bought those yet. I will buy them, but I haven't bought them yet. So much of that stuff, whether it's NECA or Super 7 or Mego or Mezco or the more expensive toy lines that have the $300, $400, $500 figures, a lot of that stuff, all of that stuff is aimed at adults. And that's great. But I collect toys, and I want to promote the world of monster toys. And these days, it seems like kids just don't play with toys. But I think it's because if you're an action figure collector, it seems like they don't play with toys because they're not playing with like the NECA kind of stuff. But they are playing with toys. They're playing with a certain kind of toy that's not really aimed at collectors. They play with building toys and craft toys like Legos and that kind of thing. But they also play with more kiddie type stuff that usually doesn't really appeal to collectors. Like this is not, that's not an actor likeness. That's not Boris Karloff or Glenn Strange or whatever. That's not that's not collector oriented. This is definitely made for kids. And I think it's valuable to show you kids do still play with toys, but you gotta, if you want to see evidence of that, you've got to look at the right kind of toys, and this is the kind of toy that kids do play with. So let's put this aside for a moment and first look at something else. We need kind of a prologue. Before we talk about Diramix, we have to talk about this other line. These toys are stretchy. They're kind of like Stretch Armstrong that people my age grew up with. You can stretch them and they go back into the original shape. But unlike Stretch Armstrong, these are filled with pellets. And they've had pellet-filled stretch toys for years and years and years and years. This is nothing new. But this kind of more action figure style toy, that is a little bit new. We've had figural jigglers before like this, but putting them on a card with a blister and making them a little bigger, more robust, and aiming them a little more at the action figure world, that's kind of different. Let me stop talking and start showing you what I mean. So this is a line that was sold in Canada. MonToy is the company, and Dollarama was the store that sold these. That is a werewolf. And he's actually a pretty cool, scary looking werewolf. I like his color. He's kind of creepy looking. This is made by MonToy. And they only made these 3. A King Kong style gorilla, a Yeti, and a werewolf. You can see that King Kong imagery at the bottom. These came out a few years ago. I don't remember exactly what year, but this is the first time I was exposed to this kind of toy. They had a line that was available in Australia, and it essentially the same line available in Canada, and there's just these 3 characters. And I don't know if these have any connection to Diramix or not, but I was aware of these first before I ever heard of Monster Flex. MonToy seems to be the house brand of a Canadian dollar store chain called Dollarama. And these were sold at Dollarama in Canada. And that MonToy, you might think it's something to do with monsters. I think it's actually, the Mon comes from Montreal. And from what I could tell online, it's the house brand for Dollarama. I don't think you're going to find MonToy toys outside of the Dollarama chain. Maybe, I don't know. when these came out, I didn't see anything else like them. It was just these three. And I thought once I had these three, I had the set. That's what I thought. I was able to get them through Brian Heiler. He got these for me. He lives in Canada. Otherwise, I would not have been able to get these. Here's the gorilla. His mouth is open so wide. It's kind of curious. I wonder why the mouth is open like that. Because if you look at the illustration on the back, his mouth is not open as wide. And that actually looks better, I think, that illustration. But the actual toy has this insane wide open mouth. I don't know why. It seems almost like something's supposed to go inside that mouth. Like it's supposed to fit over something. I don't know why they designed it that way. It's obviously not the same gorilla toy that's pictured on the back of the card. And sure enough, on the back they do call him King Kong. They don't mince words. He's not just a gorilla, he's King Kong. And that's that's pretty clear what's going on there. That's King Kong. But of course it's not licensed. Now on these, there's a little hole to push on him to see how squishy he is. But there's nothing that would allow you to stretch it in the package. Unlike the Diramix, which we're going to see in a moment. He's really cute. I guess this must be my favorite. Oh, I like that werewolf too, but I really like the color on this Yeti. I like that white and blue. Or is it purple? Yeah, I like the colors on him. And he's got horns, so he's kind of a wampa. A lot of Yetis are depicted with horns because, you know, people are thinking of wampas. And back in the day, you would have Yeti products with more unicorn-type horns because they were copying Star Trek. And now they copy Star Wars. But these are heavy. Particularly this one feels a little heavier than the other ones. So he's kind of a wampa, but he's called a Yeti. And it's pretty common now for Yeti toys to have wampa horns. So these toys came out in Canada, and there was another set like this in Australia. And I think it was the same three characters. I don't know if it was exactly the same sculpt. But these are the toys that seem to start this trend as far as I could see. It looks these are the first three that I was aware of. And then I started hearing about these Duramax toys. And this line is much larger. That's just the first series. There's at least 5 sets like that, plus a mini set and a combat set where they're sold in 2 packs, and probably more than that. And you can see how they're supposed to be stretched and played with there. And on this back, you see some familiar faces. Let's take a look, or at least I will take a look. You just took a look. I will now take a look. There's a Yeti and a gorilla and an ape, and they're essentially the same toy, just different colors. There's a werewolf. They're not the same sculpts as the MonToy versions. They're different sculpts, but they're very similar. And this first series has characters that I wouldn't really call monsters, like polar bear, grizzly, and there's some weird ones like iceberg man, rock man, volcano. The only one I have from this first set is this Frankenstein. I thought because the Yeti, werewolf, and King Kong were so similar to what Diramix made that it was repetitive to get those as well. But I would like to have a couple more from this first series. I don't know whether that'll happen or not. Well, this would be a good time, I guess, to talk a little more about this company. Diramix is an Italian company. It's based in Milan. And it seems like their focus is on the European market. Everything online, their website, their YouTube videos, everything is in Italian. It doesn't seem like they're really making an effort to market to the United States. That doesn't seem to be a priority. They're very hard to get, these Duramax figures, at least in the United States. I mean, you can get them on eBay, obviously, but I mean, if you want to just walk into a store and get them, it's not easy. They have limited regional distribution, and it seems like they're mainly available in the West or Southwest. And in the Midwest, forget it, or North, Northeast, you're not going to find them unless something's changed recently. They're not distributed to those areas. You can find them in dollar stores, and they are dollar store toys, just like those MonToys were Canadian dollar store toys. These Diramix figures are dollar store figures. You can find them in dollar stores in the West or Southwest in the United States. And they're available in Italy, they're available in Europe. If you go on eBay and try to buy them on eBay, a lot of the sellers are in Italy. Diramix markets to kids. They don't seem to care at all about collectors. They're not a collector-oriented company. They make toys for kids. And it was kind of refreshing seeing some of the YouTube videos about these toys. The ones that the company puts out are obviously aimed at kids. Everything about the animation, the audio, the pace, the style is all kid-oriented. But there are also videos of kids opening these and playing with these. And it's really cute to see the kids excited about toys, rubbery toys. Besides the monsters, they make animals, they make dinosaurs, they have some licensed characters. There are many different sets of similar stretchy toys. So many dozens and dozens and dozens of characters, I couldn't even begin to give you a roundup of what's available. But a lot of this Diramix stuff in Europe is sold in bags. You can't see what you're getting until you open it. You buy it, take it home and open it, and you're surprised. As a collector, of course, I don't like that. So if you're buying these things on eBay, be careful, because if the listing doesn't show a card, if it just shows the figure and there's no card behind it, be sure it's not a bagged figure, because if you don't see a card on the listing, it's probably a bagged figure. And if you don't want that, then don't buy that toy in that listing, look for another listing. And I feel like if kids are going to get into monster toys, it's going to be something like this. And this is fun. I mean, look at those Scooby-Doo kind of monster characters. And by the way, I want to thank my Facebook friend Evil Eddie for buying most of the figures that you see in this episode. Brian bought those 3 Canadian ones, but Evil Eddie bought all but 2 of the rest of the figures that you're seeing. Without him, I wouldn't have any of these to show you. I bought this Frankenstein on my own, but I think maybe all but one, every other one came from him. So thank you. Both he and Brian are responsible for me having these rubber monsters to show you now. Okay, who should we look at next? This is from Series 2. Like I said, I don't have hardly any Series 1, just that Frankie, really. This is a cute little gill man. And I gravitated towards the Universal Monster, iconic monster character figures. There's a whole lot, you'll see in a second. There's a lot of weird characters that I wouldn't even call them monsters. But just to get things started, I wanted to focus on the more archetypal characters. That is a cute little creature. He's cute. And they all have this sort of brawny wrestler physique. And I like seeing that price point instead of moving the decimal over to a $29 toy. You see that's Series 2. Lots more characters. If you look there, you'll see some ninjas. And there's other characters like that in other sets. There's like a scuba diver or a deep sea diver and some other weird things. So they're not all monsters, even though it's a monster line. They're not all monsters. There's 14 in this set. 14 in that set. So you can see how the number of different characters will add up fast if you try to collect all of these. And I wouldn't try to collect them all at eBay prices. Forget it. It's just too much money. But there's other reasons. Well, I might as well talk about that now. Let's see here. What series is this guy? He's Series 2, okay. This is my favorite character. This is the Scarecrow. I don't know why I like him so much. He's Halloween-y. He's got that jack-o'-lantern head. I really like him a lot. There's another jack-o'-lantern character that's more of a headless horseman. But this one is... It's got that autumnal Halloween quality. And you see that he's kind of bent there. Now, I've tried to get a good one like this because he's my favorite character. This is the first one I had, and you can see he's got some issues. And then this was the second one, and then I got a third, which came bent. And in both the cases with the bent cards like this, I asked the seller to be careful shipping the toy and make sure that it was not bent. And then it arrived squished into a box that was too small, twice in a row, trying to get a minty one like this, because it is my favorite character. So I thought if any of these were going to be in mint condition, I wanted it to be this one. But I've given up after 3 tries. I feel like I could buy 100 of these, and 100 times it would come with a bent card. And I bring that up only to say that the people selling these on eBay, I suspect, are focused on selling them to parents who are going to give them to their kids to play with. They're not collector-centric. They're not collector-minded. And I don't think they understand what difference it makes if the card is bent. If they can save money on a smaller box, why not? So keep that in mind, that it can be difficult if you leave things mint in the package. You might get frustrated, which I've already gotten frustrated trying to buy these off on eBay, because a lot of the people selling them on eBay, they just don't have a sensibility about collector quality, and they will bend the card any way they have to ship it. And that's frustrating. I wish these were more widely available so I could just go to a store and buy them. Unfortunately, that's not the case, at least not where I live. That's my favorite one, this scarecrow. I really like the scarecrow. He just looks he looks like Halloween. He's an angry, scary scarecrow. But I like his colors. It'd be cool if he were black and orange, but that would be too, I don't know, silver shamrock. This you can imagine this in a cornfield, on a farm, out there on a lonely night with a crow perched on its shoulder. I like these colors. It looks like the fall. It looks like Halloween. Now I was thinking, since this card is damaged, I could open him to show you how these things stretch. That would be a first, opening a toy. Well, no, I think I opened one earlier this year. So you want to see me open a toy on Basement of Horror? If Johnny Shedricks is watching, he needs to close his eyes. Okay, so let's see what these are like when you actually play with them. Yes, let's see the mutilation in close up. Oh my gosh, it's like it's bleeding. Okay, and then there's a insert. They actually and there's also a plate over the stomach, so they go to some lengths to take care of these in the package. This is some elaborate packaging. Ooh, he's very cute. Wow. Ah. You can see the back now. He's very floppy. He's very soft and very floppy. You can feel like, oh, it feels like sand inside of him. I don't think it is. I think it's plastic pellets, but it feels like sand. Let's hope he doesn't burst apart. I can imagine kids would have a ball playing with these. It's Stretch Armstrong. Ah! And he goes back to his original shape. Ah. So you can see these would be fun, and I can imagine a kid being really excited about these. And yes, we've seen them. I mean, I was trying earlier to describe these as something new and different, but I was thinking, well, but Imperial has made these things for 30 years. How new are they? But they are new. They're not like the Imperial ones. They're just not. They're not like the ones that Imperial makes. They're different. You can just feel they're better rubber. They're more substantial. They belong on a package like this instead of in a dump box, like an open counter display box. They're a little different. Even though the Imperial stuff tends to be more expensive, the Imperial toys are not dollar store toys. They tend to be, when you find them, they're at Walmart or someplace, and they're more expensive. And don't get me wrong, I like Imperial, but I feel like these are a little better. All right, now he's back in his package. He's back in there now. I don't know, maybe I'll staple that shut. Why not? Okay, let's put him over there. And it does have kind of a residue. Let's see what else we got here. Well, let's look at him. This is Series 3. Do we have any Series? Yes, keep going with Series 2. I don't have all the different... I don't have examples of each series, unfortunately. This is a Bigfoot. Yeah. That's a Bigfoot. Doesn't really look like my idea of a Bigfoot. Actually looks more like a werewolf. Still the same Series 2 on the back. He's pretty cool. I like his fur texture. I like that. He doesn't really have big feet. Pretty standard size feet. But he's cool. He's cool. Have you seen... I have not. Have you seen Skinamarink? All the horror fans were talking about Skinamarink a few weeks back. That was the In movie that you were supposed to go see if you were a real horror fan. I'm curious, have you seen it? I don't think I'll be seeing it. It just looks terrible to me. It looks like... Apparently it's a couple hours of staring at dark video of a suburban home, just looking at the hallway and the ceiling and the corner. So if you've seen it or you've read about, what this concept is. But the reason I thought of it is looking at that Bigfoot, because it brought a memory of a dream I had. So I'd been reading all these posts online in discussion, like horror discussion groups about Skinamarink. This movie that's just about like kids trapped in a home alone, and it's not a found footage movie, but it's kind of like that. And it's just pictures of like the images of the hallway or the wall or the corner or the ceiling or the rug or their toys on the floor, and it's all dark. The lights are off, and it's just building dread like that. Apparently, I haven't seen it. I'd read so much about it that I had a dream. I had a nightmare where I was trapped in the movie Skinamarink. Based on everything I've read about it, I was trapped in Skinamarink. It was my nightmare. I was in the movie. I was in this house, whatever. I don't know what's going on in the house. I guess there's some haunting, demonic force in the house, I suppose. I don't know. But I was in the house, and I was trapped looking at all the corners and the walls, and what is this evil in this house? How do I get out of here? What's this dreadful thing? Okay, so I have a mechanism, and I've had this, at least since I was a kid. When I'm in a nightmare, and this is the moment where it gets really scary, you'll laugh. At the worst moment of the nightmare, I'll turn into the Hulk, the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno TV Hulk. But not exactly. I'll start to turn, my eyes will go, I'll get the white eyes and the music cue, and then I wake up. So I'm never actually the Hulk in the dream. I'll start to, something will happen and it gets really bad, I'll go, and then I'll wake up. So I guess while I'm up, the Hulk is raging, taking care of business, but I'm up. So I never actually see what the Hulk does. Okay, so I'm trapped in Skinamarink, and I'm like, what is this place? What is going on? Why am I in this house? What is the evil force in the house? Okay, and then finally the evil reveals itself. It's the Bigfoot from the movie Curse of Bigfoot. Have you seen Curse of Bigfoot? You know, that googly-eyed, really cheap-looking Bigfoot. Well, that scared me as a kid. So I guess if there's like a childhood fear, I guess that symbolizes it. Because as a kid, I saw that Bigfoot movie many times on TV, and that really scared me, that movie. And that crazy, dime store Bigfoot really, really scared me. And so finally it appears, the Curse of Bigfoot monster appears and starts chasing me through the Skinamarink house. I'm trying to get away. How do I get away? I can't get away, and it keeps coming at me. I get into one room, and it chases me into the room, and I try to get behind some furniture, and it pushes the furniture out of the way, and finally it corners me, and it comes at me like it's going to eat me, and it grabs me, and that's when I go, and just as my clothes start to rip, and then I wake up. I'm up in my bed like, So that is my Skinamarink Bigfoot dream that I had a few weeks ago. So I hope you were entertained by that little. I can just imagine the people who want to watch a YouTube video where some pushy toy bro is talking about the latest $500 collector figure, and then they check out this channel and say, I've heard about this Raymond Castile channel, let's see what this is all about, and then they just listen to that just now. Like, what is this? What am I watching? Okay, here is another Series 2 monster from Monster Flex. This is a vampire. Is he actually Dracula or just a vampire? We'll look in a minute. Because that matters a great deal if he's actually the Dracula or is he just a vampire. But you see, he's got soft goods. He's got a cape. And not many of them have soft goods. This is unique that this one has a cape like that. He's a tough vampire. He's got fists. He's got a gray suit with a black cape, kind of like Barnabas Collins in his black Inverness coat over his gray suit. Sometimes he has a black suit. Sometimes he has a gray suit. But this is not Barnabas. He's got that widow's peak, so he's Dracula. There's a cool little vampire. Like I said, I wanted the iconic characters. I wanted the iconic monster characters. The Draculas, the Frankensteins, the werewolves, before I got into the weirder ones. He's a good one. Okay, well, what is he? Is he a vampire or is he Dracula? I mean, Dracula is a vampire, but it's a vampire. He's just called Vampire. He's not called Dracula. See? He's just a garden variety vampire. He's not even a Dracula. He's still cool. We like him. They're child-oriented. They're kiddie toys, but they have a lot of personality. I like that. They don't seem... They're generic, but they don't seem generic. They have a style about them. And I saw online that there are definitely... let's see. There are definitely Diramix collectors. I want to... Just looking at the name. Just want to keep the name straight. Diramix. There's definitely Diramix collectors out there, but they tend to focus on the animals and the dinosaurs. Because I went into some discussion groups, and there's a lot of Diramix people, but I don't see a lot of talk about the monsters. They seem to be more into and like that video I told you was the dinosaurs. I think the monsters might be kind of a cult thing within the world of Diramix, and that the more mainstream Diramix offerings are the animals. And that's what more people go for. But there are definitely collectors who are focused on Diramix, but they seem to want the dinos and the animals, and they like the blind bags. They don't go for the carded ones. So this is like a niche within a niche. As I said before, I say niche, not niche, because I'm weird. Okay, so there's a nice mummy, and I like that he's got that pharaoh head. There's another mummy that's more traditional looking, but I like this one. He's got that pharaoh's curse look. This angry pharaoh. That's a different take on a mummy, that's for sure, to give it a head like that. I think he's really cute. And being Egyptian, of course, I like this a lot. And you'd think, since I'm Egyptian, that maybe I'd take offense to things like this. No. I like stuff like this. And also those old masks from the 70s and 80s, those chic masks and very politically incorrect masks. I like all that stuff. I don't own it. I mean, if I had money to burn, I probably would own some of that. If I had unlimited funds and space, I probably would own some of those. But I like that stuff. I like stereotypical Arab merchandise, memorabilia. I think it's kind of like I've met some black people who collect black Americana. I don't know what the psychology of that is. I mean, I don't want to get deep talking about that, but and sociological about that. But that's kind of, I think it's sort of similar to the way that I like some really stereotypical, like Arab stereotypes in old merchandise. I think that's kind of like how some black collectors like black Americana. I think it's kind of a similar thing, but I don't think this is objectionable. I think this is just cute. I mean, it's a mummy, for crying out loud, and if you and definitely pharaohs were mummified, and they were maybe not a headset like that on the mummy, or perhaps, but they had masks. I think it's more accurate. They would wear a mask like that, like a gold mask, and a mummy that comes to life and is angry. You disturbed his tomb, I think he would get up and look like that. There he is. This is series 3. Is it 14? Yeah. Another 14 of them. And you see there's a more traditional Frankenstein. I thought about getting him, but I didn't. I like the Hulk one. And that's the Shaman. Now, I want that Shaman, and I actually was going to order one for this episode. And then I had the misadventures with that Scarecrow, and I just gave up. So I might try to order a Shaman, but it just seems like the eBay sellers who are dealing with these things, you just can't trust them. And I'd probably end up with a bent up card on the Shaman. But I really like that Shaman. It's kind of like the Mummy. It's a little politically incorrect. Or maybe a lot politically incorrect. More than a little. But it has a Scooby-Doo kind of quality. There was a character on Scooby-Doo like that. I don't remember if he was called a witch doctor or what they call him, but there was something like that on Scooby-Doo. I think that's why I like him, because it's sort of Scooby-Doo-ish. And there's a knight. He's supposed to be a ghost, I think. Is that a turtle? I can't see it on the... I'll take a look. But you can see there's some that are not quite monstrous. Like, what is that? Is that a thief? Yeah. They have some strange definitions for what is or is not a monster. What is that one I was looking at? Ogre, okay. Yeah, I'm sure on your screen it was obviously an ogre, but on this little monitor I'm looking at, it looked like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Now I can see it's obviously not a turtle, but... Oh, there's a wrestler, like a Mexican-style wrestler. That'd be cool. He can fight all the other monsters. And there's the thief next to him. Gummy bear? A gummy bear, okay. And there's also there's a Series 4 and a Series 5, and they keep getting a little weirder and weirder. Like here we have the Shaman, the Knight, the wrestler, the thief. These very non-monster characters in this monster line, and it gets weirder and weirder like that as each series progresses. It gets more obscure and out there with what characters they include in a monster line. But I really like that Pharaoh. I think he's adorable. And you saw from last year all my Egyptian mummy stuff. I mean, I like that. I like, if it's a mummy, I like it. And although they don't literally mummify people in Egypt, when my mom passed away, she did have herself wrapped like a mummy. And kind of in that pose, it was sort of like this, and she was wrapped. And then they wrapped her again, like lengthwise. So yeah, she had herself wrapped like a mummy. And I don't really care what happens to me after I die. When I'm dead, I'm dead. But it'd be kind of cool to do that, to leave instructions to wrap me up like that. So there's a more traditional universal style werewolf, a more wolfman type werewolf. I really like the price sticker. I just love that. It brings home the point that these are kids' toys. Cheap kids' toys. And he's cool. He's got the Aurora style pants and no shirt. There's that Aurora influence all these years, all these decades later. And I'm sure the people who made this toy, they don't even know. Well, I'd be surprised if they knew what Aurora was. Maybe they do, who knows. But they're being influenced by it, whether they realize it or not, because the Universal Wolfman never looked like that. He was never dressed like that. Paul Nash, he never dressed like that. Werewolf of London never dressed like that. But no movie werewolf ever dressed like that. That is the Aurora model kit. That is like Marvel Werewolf by Night. That is. I was looking to see if he had a rope for a belt. No, he's got a regular belt. But that's the Aurora influence after all these years. That Aurora model still is the look for a werewolf, for a Wolfman type werewolf. He's shirtless, and he's got ripped pants, like kind of jean style. Like these look like blue jeans, kind of like jeans and ripped up and no shirt. It's that Aurora influence. 60? Is it 60 years later? It's the word 50. I know that. Almost 60 years later. I'll sit him over there. Oh no, put me here. Oh, this is a cool one. I mean, they're all cool. What do they call this? Well, they just call it Mexican skeleton. I thought he had a better name than that, but there he is, the Mexican skeleton. Well, that's neat. Look at that. I mean, that is really neat. That is fanciful and imaginative, well designed. Look at the little green eyes in there. Look at his hat. Reminds me of the Nightmare Warriors action figures from the 80s, the way that you had the black body with the white painted on bones. And even the kind of He-Man style body type reminds me of the Nightmare Warriors. Yeah, he's a really neat toy. I like him. That's Series 3. A lot of character. A lot of character. A lot of character in these toys. I've got one more. They just call this one Clown. Obviously, he's an evil clown. Or is he evil, or is he just upset? Maybe he's had a bad day. And these days in popular culture, what other kind of clown is there besides an evil clown? Does anyone associate clowns with happiness anymore? Not really. Clowns are evil now. Anytime you see a clown in popular culture, he's evil. He's the Joker. He's Pennywise. And that's just scratching the surface of all the different evil clowns out there right now. I don't know if he almost looks like a McDonald's character. The colors on him. I don't know if he's imitating any particular clown, but he has a sort of fast food look with that color scheme. He's very colorful. All of these are great. They have a lot of character. And I think they look good on this card too. We just saw the one look cool out of the card, but I think they really look good on the card. I think that showcases them nicely, protects the toy, it makes them look substantial instead of just flopping around loose. And they really look like action figures on the card. I don't know how this rubber will stand up over the years. I hope it lasts. I don't know if it's a latex type rubber or if it's a soft PVC. Either way, it could rot either way. But I hope that rubber lasts. Someone online, one of these discussion groups, was talking about Duramax rubber not lasting, saying that it rots. Well, maybe that's if you take it out of the package and stretch it. I don't know. So we'll see if these things stand the test of time. I hope they do. I hope they don't just rot away in the package. They might turn crispy. They might turn stiff, so that if you try to stretch them, they'll just break apart. That's possible. I could see that. But hopefully they won't just crack up and fall apart and all the pellets will fall out. I hope not. I hope they last. I'd like to have a few more. Now those are only the first 3 series are available in the United States, as far as I can tell. The later ones are apparently only available in Italy. All of the eBay sellers that have them are in Italy. They're located in Italy, the people selling them. And there are some cool ones in series 4 and 5. Particularly a witch, a traditional witch. You'd think there'd be a witch in one of these first 3 sets, but there isn't. There's a witch, I think she's series 5. And I like her. And I like the deep sea diver. Again, it's that Scooby-Doo vibe. He's got that diving bell head. He's kind of neat. And there's a fly. I think he's got a translucent body. And he's neat. He's expensive. For some reason, they price him up to $45, $50. I don't know if he's a chase figure, if he's harder to find. I don't know, or if they just think they can get more for him. But looking at sold auctions, people pay it. So I don't know why he's costs more money. And boy, if you spend that kind of money on something like that and it comes bent up, that's why I haven't even gone there. I mean, I'd like to have them, but for that kind of money, and I don't even know what condition it would be in when I got it. But there are some cool ones in the later sets. I'd like to have a few more. I certainly don't need to be a completist. There's just too many. And if you can't get them at retail, they're just too expensive on eBay. To buy 1 or 2, okay. But to try to collect several of them at eBay prices, it's too expensive. It's not worth it. But all that said, I'd like to get a few more. I just need to figure out some strategy to get them in good condition. So they're not. I need to identify a seller that understands collectors and will ship them without bending them up. And if I can do that, I might buy a few more. Not a lot, but a few more. It would be nice to have a few more. I'm happy that there is a toy line like this aimed at children, and that children actually like it. They actually play with it. And I was excited seeing these videos of kids actually playing with this stuff and really happy to have these things in their hand. And that's what a monster toy should be. A kid should play with it and be happy and thrilled to own it and have adventures, dark adventures, like my little nightmare with the Bigfoot chasing me through the Skinamarink house. and then of course, see, I can act it out here. Where's the Bigfoot? Yeah, let's act it out. That's a good idea. You can have the Bigfoot chasing you through the Skinamarink house, and then you turn into the Hulk, and you can have a monster battle. And with these toys, you really could have a monster battle because they're squishy, and you can slam them together and have a little fight, and they won't get broken. Well, I'm sure that they're not indestructible, but they won't immediately just crack up and fall apart. like something like a NECA or whatever, you take it out of the package to try to pose it and it just falls apart. Because they're not made for kids. They're barely made for adults, apparently, because you have to heat them up with a hairdryer just to pose them. And it's ridiculous. This one, the stuff you take out of the package, it starts stretching it and it's fine. It's made to be played with. Alright, that's it. I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. 2 more episodes to go this season, and then we have our summer hiatus. In June, I will do a live stream. Every year, every June, I do a live stream, my annual live stream. I don't know the date yet, but of course I'll promote it before I do it. And that's always fun. We always have a good turnout for that. And we might have 1 or 2 other specials over the summer. And then I will be back for Halloween, for the Halloween season, with some new episodes for Halloween. I hope you'll join me for these final 2 episodes of the season. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, please join the Facebook group. It's a good place to be. And please consider subscribing to the channel, even though we've only got a couple episodes left this season. It's good to subscribe, because I might surprise you with an episode I had not planned, and you want to know if that happens. So subscribe, and click the button to be notified when there are new episodes, and you won't miss one. Thanks for watching. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, the one who dies with the most toys is dead.